So we are talking about these things, okay? So the objective of this course this lab is to learn how to configure JCreator tool and run MySQL database code. First, we're gonna configure JCreator tool so that it can run MySQL database. It can support MySQL database. Okay, it can run MySQL database. It can make the connections with MySQL database. This is the first things you're gonna do. And the second thing is that to learn the XAMPP control panel tool to establish DBMS. We will learn how to create a database management system inside the XAMPP control panel, okay? XAMPP control tool. And then we'll learn how to do database programming, okay? Java database programming. That's the focus of our lab today, okay? So first of all, let's theoretically know that what is database. So database is a collection of data, contains informations relevant to the application. Okay, so database systems are designed to manage large volume of information. Database systems are designed to manage large volume of information. Management of data involves both defining structures for storage of information and providing mechanisms for the manipulation of information. That means that database is basically about the data storage. Database systems is designed like to store the data in an organized way. Now, management is basically telling that how to manipulate those data, storage in an organized way, and how to manipulate those data in an efficient way. That's basically called management. So database management connected together, which is basically providing us is a collection of interrelated data and a set of programs to access the data. So database is there and management also there. So that's together we have database management systems, which can have more than one databases, okay? And more than one program to execute the database, okay? Now, data models is very important. Data models is a collection of conceptual tools for describing data. So a collection of conceptual tools for describing data relationship, data semantics, and consistency constraints. So those are the tools basically is working on the data, okay, and the consistency of the data. And now, so there are four things that describing the data. The first one is the data descriptions. So data models describing the data, how the data has been represented, what are those? The relationship of the data, how the data has been connected one to another one, and data semantics. What are the rules has been applied to store the data? What are the formulation of the data? And we have consistency. How to validate the data? How to filtering the data? What kind of rules we apply to filter this data? Okay, so like the conditions should be satisfied to store the data. What kind of conditions we have? So these are basically constraints. So these are the four are represented by the data model. So yes, Ibrahim, Ikule, Zoom. Okay, Zoom. So there are mainly four categories of data models. Mainly we have one is the relational model, relational data model. That's we're going to talk about relational data model. We have another one is entity relational data model, which are basically ER data model. Okay, so which will be like entity. So people are telling that what is entity, then the students are answering that those are basically table. No, entities are objects. Okay, entities are objects and their relationships. Objects and their relationships is basically called entity relationship models. However, entity relationship models contain a drawback that it cannot provide the encapsulations. It cannot show the encapsulations and methods, just only the entity, but the methods are not highlighted in here. So there is an advanced data model we have, which is called object-based data model, which is providing encapsulations, method, and object identity as well. So what is objects? The three things we have now: encapsulations, encapsulating to one part several things, and make it as a unit. So this one is like class, okay? Then we have method, and then we have object. So these three features of the object-oriented will be highlighted by object-based data model. And then we have semi-structured data model, which are basically representing by XML. Okay, anyway, so we are basically focusing on relational model. Basically, relation is like to say that how basically one table will be related to other table. What are the relationship? What are the attributes in the table? Because relation mean that table. Relation mean that data to data relationships. That's we can provide with the table, 2D table, because you have some data information in the row and some data information in the column. So column and row has been connected by the relationships. So that relations is providing by a table. So row and column are connected. So now if you think that, just think that a relation is basically is a representation of a class. If you think like that, a class. So let's think that a class, okay, actually an object, okay? Think about a class, because without the class, the object will not be created. So think about a class. And a class, we have inherit instance variable, okay? So we have instance variables. There are a lot of many instance variables. So this instance variable is the feature of this class. The object, like from this class, we can create the objects like new class. So class like that, right? Class A. So A like that. So A. So this is the object. So these objects behave, how he is behaving. So depending on what are the values you are placing in this feature value, like what is the radius, then the circle object will behave like that. What is the color of the radius? What is the pi value? So accordingly, the object will be behave. So these are the features will represent the objects. So we also have the features we are representing into the attributes. We are representing into attributes. That's mean the table attributes are basically called feature. And this is for all, like machine learning and other parts as well. Like to present an object, we are actually using features. Those features are basically representing the objects. Okay. Now we have the columns, so which are basically the columns. We have rows, so each row is basically representing a one row. Each row is representing a instance of an object, like these features with the value, one object will be created, and the value will be changed, we can get another objects. Value will get, we can get another objects, right? So because like a1 equal new a, some value you are providing here. So if you place different value, so a2 equal to new a, so different value. So these are the instance or reference variables. So each tuple you can think about the reference variable. You can think about an objects, different objects. So different objects. So it's holding different values. Okay, different values of the features. When you are telling that we have relational models, so relation must have the tuple should be different from one to another one. Each tuple is unique. Each tuple is unique from one to another one. Okay, so this tuple is not fully same as the second one. There are some differences there. Any one attributes will be different. So that way, basically, we can represent the tuples. So tuples is basically the value of each row is basically a tuple, and each column is representing as attributes of the objects. Now we are coming to the first outcomes, that to learn how to configure JCreator tool to run MySQL database codes. How can we run MySQL database codes? So configure JCreator to run MySQL database codes. Okay, so we are now configuring this one. Okay, so but before going to run MySQL database code in the JCreator, we need a driver. This is our driver. This is our driver. This one must need to run. Okay, so So must to run this one. So this driver is basically, this driver is a connector. Basically, this one is a connector by your Java with Java APIs. Java has some APIs, which is basically called JDBC, Java Database Connector, JDBC. So Java has some API. This API, how this API will connect with the database, which is basically MySQL database. So this is the driver which can support, which can create the base. So this is the driver which can create the base. So we need for specific Java, like we are using 1.8, and for a specific database, version of the database, for the version of the database we are using, we have different driver, we will have different driver. Okay, so depending on the driver, basically the database will change. Depending on the driver, the database version and Java version, the driver is going to change. So you have to find out your driver according to your Java version and according to your your database version, MySQL versions. Okay, we are using MySQL as the database because XAMPP is supporting MySQL database. XAMPP. So XAMPP is supporting MySQL database. So this MySQL database we want to link. So I have downloaded this driver. So from the online. Okay. So there maybe you can also, there is updated driver also, you can download that updated one. But as I have this one, so I'm downloading this one and it's running well for me. So I copy this one into the Java JDK 1.7.0.51. So my Java versions, so actually I'm using now 1.8. So inside the 1.8, the GRE folders, I place that. Inside the library, I place the extension folders, I place this one in there. Okay. So now, so this one is inside my extension folder. So when I place this one in the extension folder, you can see here that I have the Java. So I have this one inside my C, inside my D. Okay, I'm in C, sorry. Inside my C drive, I will have C drive. I will have the program files. Inside my program files, I have Java. So inside my Java, I have JDK 1.02.5, where I have GRE, and inside my GRE, I have the bin file. Sorry, inside my GRE, I have library file. In the extension, I have placed this one. This is the driver I have to connect with the database. So this is the driver we have. Now this driver is here, but the JDK, JCreator is not known that this is the driver. The path had to be configured into the JCreator. So for JCreator, we are opening the JCreator. Okay, for JCreator, I'm opening JCreator. For JCreator, so I need to configure this one, options as like JavaFX, JDK profile. So I'm choosing this one and edit. And then from JDK archive, so from archive, I am taking this one, okay? So MySQL connector Java. And then okay, I'm placing okay, okay? So open. And on the opens, I will have this one like that. Where is my JDBC connectors? It should be now. Yeah, MySQL database connectors I have. So now this one I will click OK, and then I will apply and then OK. So the path has been configured. Now we can run the Java JCreator program. Let's see, we can run the Java database program or not. So file, open. I have my file inside the D directory, and inside the D directory I have here is not this one. Okay, I will have this one, and inside there I have JavaFX and DB, and inside there I have program1.java or program2.java. Let's see program1.java. So program1.java, these programs I'm going to run and see that it's working well or not, because I already changed it. So but it's working well. So, but before running this one, I have to open my XAMPP as well. So I have to call my XAMPP. So I can call from here XAMPP, or you can click on the properties and file program files, and you can find out from here like XML file dot XAMPP. Okay. And when I have XAMPP, you see I'm stopping the now. So this is my initial phase I will have. So this time my XAMPP version is v2 3.1. Okay. So here I need to run my database program. So I also need to run Apache, my web server as well. So XAMPP is a tool. XAMPP is a hybrid software which is combined with several tools are there. Okay. So one is called Apache, another one is MySQL. So Apache, when you start Apache, so this means that Apache is running. So this is my process that Apache is running, and it will start in the port number 4343,8080. Now we have MySQL as well. So I'm starting MySQL as well. So MySQL need the support of Apache to run. Okay. So because we are running on the web-based systems through the web-based technology, okay, so that's why we need the Apache to run. Web server need to be done. So Apache is a web server. MySQL is the database server, database management systems. Okay, now in our computer, now in my computer, I have two program is running, two server is running. One is the Apache web server, another one is the MySQL server. Now, MySQL server has a port number 3306 and Apache server has a port number 8080. So, like in my PC now, I have, this is my computer. So I have two programs. One is called Apache, another one is called MySQL. So these two programs I have. Now, I have only one network card, NIC card. Now, my question is, if this computer B, want to send some data to here, how he will send the data to this program and how he will send this data to this program. So this one is my DB MS and this one is my web server. Now tell me, how B will send the data to web server and how B will send the data to database server. Okay. Anyone can answer? Can anyone answer this? Nobody, Ibrahim? No, you know, have you done network course? Then
Sir, on data structure, it was we use XAMPP, sir.
so you then you do not need to tell anything. You just need to tell, sir, we haven't yet complete network course. That's it. You understand my point? Not do the network course, just say that I don't know, sir, because the network course I didn't do. You should not answer anything that's your without knowing that things. You understand? If you don't know, you should not answer those things. Okay. Now think here is that the B is in here. So when we connect with computer through the internet systems, so we can identify the computer by using his IP address. So my computer has an IP address, so this computer can detect me in the internet as I am in the internet. So they are detecting me. Now I have two program. Two program has different IDs. So this one is the for ways can recognize the program by using PID, process ID. But how does the other program, like how the other computer will send the data, and the data, how can you distinguish that this data is for this program, this data is for this program? When you are chatting, so why the chat server data is going to the chat server, why it is not going to the mail server? And while the mail server data is going to the mail server, why it is not going to the chat server? The reason is that every program or every server, whatever running in one PC, those are service oriented. So they can provide the service through a port number. So every program has distinguished port number, like this one has 3306. So through the port number, when you send any data, so that data will have IP number as well as the port number. So in the IP, they will take in the IP layer, transportation layer, in the IP layer, they will take the IP value. What is the IP value? They can recognize. And then in the top of the IP is the transport layer. So transport layer will define that which application he is running. So like this will be go to the applications. In that way, it will go to the upper of the application layer, that which application is running. Okay. So in that way, basically, the port number will distinguish the package. So for which applications basically the data has been sent. So IP for distinguishing computers, and port number is used to distinguish the program. Okay. So that way, basically, we'll create server and client program. We'll learn these things. We'll do ourselves. Okay, we'll learn these things. Okay, how to port number, which port number we're gonna use and run. We'll show this one. But just now, you can show that if we have several program running in my PC, if they need outside data or they want to pass outside data, so they need port number, different port numbers, so that can recognize the programs, which program the data will send. IP address is to recognize the computer, not the program. Okay, that's why 8080 we have and 3306 we have. So those are basically the program we are running. So let's go to run the programs of Apache. You know, it should be running from here, but I'm running from here. Okay, so first I'm running Apache and I'm going to Apache admin. But I have some configuration problem here. So what I'm doing is that localhost 8080 is basically the Apache application will come, because in this port number my Apache is running. So from this Apache, I'm calling phpMyAdmin. So when I'm clicking phpMyAdmin, then my database program will run. So this is my database program. This is my database. The interface for connecting with the database. So this is my database. So here is my database, the MySQL database management systems. Inside the database management system, I have several databases. This one. Everyone is my database. I have an employee database. Inside the employee database, I have an employee information table. Which has ID number, which has name, gender, and address as well. So ID number, name, gender, address, right? So now if I will run my program, I have a program to connect with this database and run. Okay, so when I will run this one, yes, I have created before. So isn't it running? Okay. So when I run this program, then I see that the output according to my execution statements and all the data I can retrieve from the database. So that's why basically I'm using a database, which is basically called, employee database from the employee database, and employee database has employee info table. So that's basically employee info table. So that's in here. Okay, so now this is my table. Now I want to create, so you know that how to basically configure. So first task we have completed. So the task is how to create, like this one, to learn how to configure JCreator tool to MySQL database code. I have shown you, and the code has been written in here as well. The steps has been shown in here as well. And the programs, I have run this program and show you that it's running. Okay. Now, create an individual DBMS named student management and a database student demonstrate the accessibility. Okay. Now I'm going to create for you. I'm going to create this one by myself, another one. So let's see, I have run student management system. So now I am deleting this one. Okay. So let's delete this one. I want to delete. Yeah. So I want to drop. Where is the remove database? Okay, drop the database. Is the drop command. Automatically this command will execute. This is the interface we have. Okay. So the drop command is directly, basically I'm not, this one is an interface to connect with the MySQL. I'm not connecting directly MySQL. An interface has been provided by the XAMPP. Okay. So through that I'm connecting with the database. So I am dropping the database. Okay. So student management has been dropped. This one is different one. That one I have created that has been deleted. Fine. Now what I'm doing is that I want to create a database. Okay, I want to create my database. Like let's see another database. What can be the database? What do you think? Let's say I'm creating a database like, how can I show this one? Let's see that again, I'm creating student management. Though I have given the name has been capital letters, but it will create a small letter names will be, you can see that student management, normal student management has came. Okay, so let's go for this one. Okay, and inside this one, I want to create a table. So I want to create a table which name is students. So let's see students. Student table will be capital letter. Remember this one. Table will be capital letters. So how many columns you want to give? Student ID, student name, student department, and we have department and we have address. 4. Fine. So 4 I have given, and then I am telling go. So I have created a students table, but there is no data in there. Okay, so but I have to give the column name and other part as well. So I'm giving the name ID, which is an integer value. ID is an integer type, so I am taking it as a type, and there is no default value. I didn't put any default value, and I'm not taking any collisions, and I'm not taking any attributes from here. I am not telling that ID should be null. No, I want to auto increment this one, and that should be my primary key, because this one should, as a primary key, that means it is unique and not null. It is unique and not null. So this value should not be null. Okay, so we need to take an auto increment. That means that the value will be automatically incremented one by one. Okay, then we have name. Name which, okay, name, let's see, department. And then we have address. So the name will be my var characters. I'm taking var character types, which is a variable character. So it's not like fixed character. 20 characters should be the name. Name can be any, but the maximum number of length you should have to define. Let's see, 100. Address can also be var characters, and that can also be 100. But department name can also be var character, but it will be 50. Okay, so like that. Now those are the var character. That's means string with 50 size, at most 50 size, at most 100, at most 100. So by default, I want them to null. So by default, they can be null. So by default, they can be null. By default, they can be null. So that's why the null has been taken in here. So null value are accepted. So that's why they're telling null. Okay. Now these values, there is no ASCIIs. I don't want anything about those, and that's it. That's my table. So create my table. Save. So my table has been created. You can see now, student management student table has been created, which has, if you want to see the structures, which has ID, name, department, and address. Okay, so this one null cannot be, but other one null. So default value none, and auto increment, and others are not basically auto increments. Okay, the value you need to give. Okay, now we want to insert some value in there, so you can click in insert and you can put some value. Let's say ID number 1. Let's see ID number 1, and we'll have name is, let's see, Ibrahim. Okay, and then we have department. Let's see, we have CSE, and we have address, which is basically Uttar. That's our department. So now this we have given. So when you browse this one, we'll see that one student's name, Ibrahim CSE Uttaradhata, has been stored in my database, in my table, and in my database as well. Fine. Now we want to manipulate this one from outside, from our program. So how can I do that? So see, when we run the programs first times in the programs, we have to create a driver. We have to create a driver. How can we create the driver? Is this one is our driver. Okay. Let's see, I want to change this one to save as, I don't want to write change this one to program 3. Yeah. So now I want to change, I want to show here that one step by step. So first things you need the driver to be say the driver. What is your driver? So you are telling that this is one is defining the driver plus for name com MySQL JDBC driver. So this is your driver. You're going to use that. You have this driver which is basically in the path of the configure path we have given. So that file is basically the driver. So driver will load. This driver will automatically load. So this file will copy to the RAM. Okay, load. So this is basically loading the driver is the first step of your running a program. The second step is to create the connection. You see, the second step is to create the connection object, establishing a connection with the database. Now, when you create the connection with the database, so that times you need to tell that the URL of the database, URL of the database means that where the database is. So this one is a static function, static method in the driver. So the static methods. So that static methods we are carrying from the driver manager class. So that's why driver manager dot. So here we have driver manager. Okay, SQL dot driver manager. So this contains a get connection and which is a static method. So driver manager dot static method we call. So we do not need to create objects. Okay, so we call and connect connections. So connections we are establishing the connection objects with the string that will provide the link of the connections, the URL of the connections. The URL is JDBC MySQL colon. You see localhost, and then colon, semicolon, port number. This one is fixed. This one is fixed. This one is fixed. This one is fixed. You just need to use this one. Localhost colon 3306. 3306 is the server. 3306 is your database server port number. So database server port number we have, and then slash employee. Then slash employee is your database name. So you will have a database name which is called employee. You can see in your XAMPP you will have a database name which is called employee in here, employee. But we want to use this one that's we have created, right? So we want to use the database name, not employee. We want to use a student management database, right? So I am trying to go to my code and I want to change this one as an employee to student management, where I want to create a user of student management. So I want to create a user of student management. So I want to create a user. So privilege, I'm taking a privilege. Let's see, I am creating a new user. So add user. Whom I can take, Habib. Let's see, I'm taking a username Habib. Okay. So any host, I'm telling that okay, local host. So Habib is using local host. What is the password? I'm telling that no password. You do not need the password. And what is the database for the user? Grant all privileges of the database student management. So student management, they can use all privileges. So global privileges, all privileges he can use. Okay. And then so the privilege contains like insert, delete, update operations he can do or not, he can drop or not, he can create, he can shut down, something like that. Okay, so all the privileges I have given to him, and then I'm going to go. So this is my user has been created, which is basically you can see in the privilege, you can see that I have a Habib user, which is a local global host, and database specific as well, because I have the database student management, he can run everything okay in there. Okay, so now so these users I want to use Habib. I want to use Habib without password, because you know like sometimes password is creating problems, so that's why I didn't take password. So Habib, so this one, and when this database will be connected, so that times you will think that database has been connected. Let's see we can connect with the database successfully or not. Let's go for this one first, and then the rest of the things we're gonna do. So when we run this one, we'll see that a database is connected. So that's been the successfully connection has been established. If you've done this one successfully, so you have connected with your database. Now what we're gonna do? Now we have to create the statement to access the database or to manipulate the database. We need to run the SQL, right? So we have to create the statement. Statement can execute the SQL. So we have to create a statement objects. Let's see how to create a statement objects. See, file program open. Yeah, so now see, I want to create a statement. So this one is this one, and I'm calling this one. So which is basically, which will create an statement objects, which will create an statement objects, this one, okay? So statement equal to connection dot create a statement. So the third task is to create an statement objects, creating and executing a statement object. First, you have to create statement objects. We have created the statement objects. Statement equal to connection. After, inside the connections dot create a statement. So connection has a method called create statements. We are calling this one. So it will create any statements. Okay, that statements we got. Now statement objects we have. Now through the statement object, we're gonna run this one. So we're gonna run this one through the statement objects. We're gonna run this program. So we are running this one. Okay. So now this one I'm pressing in here. So this one is the statement objects. This one is the statement object, statements dot run. That's been execute query. So this one is my execute query, you know. So this is my execute query. So statement dot execute query. What we are executing? A query we are placing, which is select all from employee information. Select all from employee information. No, select all from table. So student management has only one table, which is called student. So select all from students. So because our table name is student, you can see student. Okay, so it's smaller. So student, smaller hat. So student should be student. So this table, from this table, select all, every attributes you can to select, every tuple and every attributes you are selecting. Select, and then you have to place some places. So you need a equivalent, tables, which is basically called result. So result is a 2D iterator basically. Okay, so 2D objects which can hold all the table informations that's you collected. So from table information, if you collect, so basically a smaller table you are selecting, and you are placing this one to result 2. So result 2 is basically a smaller table like that. So it also has the column and it also has the rows as well. So it is an iterator, so it is sequentially accessible. So you can use like for loop, you can use the while loop to access the data set. So the data set is in result, so you can access that one by using this command. While result say 2.next as like iterator, you have next, has next, and here is next. So next, so then the next attributes you are taking, if they have next, the next attributes you are taking from the result set. Okay, so how now you have one, every time, every loop, one column from one row from the table you are accessing, one row, so that you are accessing, right? So one row by row you are accessing. So you have result 2 dot get string, result 2 dot get string 2. Result 2 is the object name of the result that we are placing result set. That's mean same type of table we are taking. And this one is holding, first is the row number 1. So first we need to come row number 1, and you will select that first attribute. So first attribute, what is the value of the first attribute? What is the value of the second attribute? What is the value of the third attribute? What is the value of the fourth attribute? In that way, the value will be collected and value will be placed. And so this is the first row, and then we will have the second row. The value will be taken in place. Value will be taken in place. Value will be taken in place. In that way, basically, we have first row and then second row and then third row. In that way, we will continue. Okay, so continue till the tables, all the data has been completed. So we are printing these things. Okay, so first row data will be printed in second row. So how many attributes? 1, 2, 3, 4. ID, name, department, and you have address. So these are the 4. So you have to remember that how many attributes we can go through from the table. You have to understand. Okay, so that way, basically, when you see this one, when you run this one, so then we'll see that these attributes are taken away from this table, and the value of these attributes of row has been shown in here. So one Ibrahim, because only one we have now. Now we want to add or insert the data in this table. So how can we do that? So we are inserting this one. Let's see, we are inserting this one. Okay. So we are inserting this one. We are inserting here, same tables we are inserting. Okay. So when you are inserting this one, so that times we will have strings, substrings, this one. Okay. So that's basically we have this one. Okay. So we are telling that, okay, this is my SQL. So what is the SQL? Insert into the table, which is student, right? The student table, where we have the name is the column name, and then you have to place not the same data, you have to place department, and you have address. Okay, fine. So the values can be, let's see, partner 2, and the department is, let's see, CSE, and let's see, Uttara Dhaka is the output. So I'm going to now, you see, I'm using a statement dot execute. Statement is the only one who can execute the query. Statement dot execute query, statement dot execute updates. When you have only select statement, that times you are going to proceed with select execute query. When you have update, so that's mean that the insert or delete operations you're gonna do, or update operations you're gonna do. So that times you have to use update one. We place the SQL in the string, and it places the string in here, and here we directly place the string. Okay, so the same thing you can also do here, or take it in a string and then place. So statement dot execute update query. When the query will update the tables, so that times we can see again that what are the results we have. So what are the results we have? So we can take the results set. We can take again the SQL query, and we can run again. So we can run again the SQL query, like select all, so that we can see that the update has been done or not. So we can execute again the result of that one, and result of this one, and yeah, so that's we have, right? So now we have result 3, not the same result, because this result is not yet closed. So you just close this one. Okay, when the execution has been completed, this one is closed, so you cannot use this one. Okay, so you have to take a new one. So we have taken new one, and we create the query execute, and then we print. So that way basically we can run, and we can see that the first part is that you have one, and then we added panna in there, so one, and then, oh, okay, so here is a problem in here, students, here is students, it should be from students. Yeah. Well, yeah, first you can see that we have first one, and then added another one. So this one because we ran previously, and then we have now 3 because we added another one in here. So we have 3. So 3 tuples we have shown, and we had before 2. So insertion is working perfectly. Okay. So now if you want to execute delete operations rather than insert, if you want to execute delete operations, we can also do like the same query we can use. Okay. The query we can use like here we have. So we are taking this one and we are placing in here. So the query we can use in here. So that's basically here. So this one. Okay, so I don't want to work with insert. I want to delete and see that what is the activities of this one. So then we close, and then we're done. Yeah. So see, so this is my outputs I have. So this one is employee information. So okay, no, it should be student. And let's see, ID is 3. What will happen? Let's see this one. I want to delete the 3 number ID. So first we had the 3. First we had the tree, now we don't have the tree. So first we had the tree, and then we do the updates, and then we try to print, then there is no tree. Tree number column we don't have. So that's why basically we can execute the query, and we can run our programs and connect with the database and see that how basically the database will work. Okay, any question? Do you have any question? No, you don't have any question. Did you understand basically how we work, how we basically create the database? Yes, yes, it's a simple SQL language. Okay, it's the simple SQL language. SQL language is generic, so that's we can see. Okay. See, the same class I have taken in the morning session, and the class finishing here. But the same class I'm taking in the afternoon session, still I have 30 minutes. How come? Habib, here Shambho. This program explain and write a specific part of the code representing the following database terms. Okay, so which are representing in which part of the code. Inside the load, you have to mention loan calculator. You have to mention that one. So first, I'm going to open the loan calculator. Okay, so let's go to open the loan calculator program. So file. Okay, let's go to loan calculator is not here, which is in JavaFX program of the previous year. So previous year JavaFX program. So like year is integer, interest rate, which is double, and double is a loan amount is double. So get monthly payment we have to write down. So those are the instance variable we have taken here. All are the instance variable. Okay. Why all are the instance variable? Because we may have, like this one is an inner class we have used. So he's also using some of the calculate payments, and this calculate payments is also sharing those variables. So that's why we have to make inner class. Without inner class, we cannot. Okay. That's the problem we have seen. So that's why we need inner class. Now, when you use the start, so then we have, the start with primary stage, and then we have created a structure, which is basically grid. Okay, so we have taken a grid pan, and then grid pan we have placed this one like 0, 0, 0, 1, 0. In that way, the level and the text has been placed, and the button has been placed as last, so 1, 5. So the gap has been taken as a 5 in here and 5 in here. So that way, basically, the gap has been taken. Set alignment is the position center. So in the center, we'll have, so always center in the pan. And set alignment is the button H post right. Always should be in the right. Okay. Okay. Now we have created a button, action button. So when you click in the action button, so one event handler will occur. So anonymous class has been created. So this handler will call. So this handler will call the calculate payment. So calculate payment method will be called. So, and then after calculate payment, so calculate payment is the main part, okay, main heart of this work, okay. And then when the calculate payment will be done, so the skin will be shown, and then the primary stage and primary stage skin will show here, and then show, okay. Now, how the calculate payment will be done? So calculate payment, first we take the string and text1 dot get text is the string will come, then convert this string to double. So how can we convert this one to double? Like double dot parse double. If you place like 1, 2, 3, 4 rather than the numeric value, so then a string will be converted, double cannot be converted, an exception will be thrown. That is the wrong. So you should have an alternative. Please place numerical values. Okay, so that's where you have to generate the wrong calculations will be taken down for your assignments as well. Okay, year, so year will be taken as an integer, so year will be taken as a string and will convert this one parts integer. In that way, all the string value from 1 to 3 will be converted to their corresponding double or integer values. Okay, then we calculate get monthly payment. From your lab 1, we have these equations. We have given these equations. From there we have created monthly payment, and from there we can multiply with 12 into the year to find out the total payments. Total payment. Text 4.text. So total payment is now normal way. So we have to convert this one to double values, and we have to convert this one to into string. So we printed this one in a formatted string format. String format is 0.25f get month, or you can directly just convert this one as string to a string and then get month payment. That's it. So it will be occurs as a string. So that way, basically, we can convert these ones and calculate the values for these two columns, two rows as well, two texts as well. Now, I want to place this input and this output to the database. So then I'm calling another function which is called initial DB from the calculate payment. So initial DB will open. So initial DB, the same way. The first things we are going to use is the driver initialization. Like driver, we need the driver loading the driver, then we can create the connections, and then we have to create the statements and execute the statements. Okay, execute the statements like execute update. Okay, and then you can select and you can execute another statements, and then the result, like select statements, you can place the result to result set. And one by one, the result set, you can carry on and find out. And then you can close the connection, That's very important. You have to close the connection. And try catch should be there. If anyone has any exceptions, then the try catch will create, take the exceptions and will handle this one. That way, basically, the program runs. So what is the program? The program will be insert into what is my table name. My database name is loan, and Rohim is the username, and I have the loan calculator is in there. So go to that one. Yeah, so I have loan for database. Inside the loan database, I have a loan calculator. So this calculator, I have table loan ID, loan interest. You can see the first one is the loan interest, and the second one is loan amount. Remember this one, okay? But here, the first one is the loan interest, then number of year, then loan amount. So that has been a little bit tricky, has been taken so that you can understand, okay? So that's why loan interest, then we have taken these things like, what is this? Loan interest, loan amount, loan year. Remember this one. So the values are coming from the texts. Text 1 dot get text. This one is not text 2, text 3. Text 3 dot get text, and this one is text 2 dot get text. So that way, those values are inserting to the table values. Now you can see the structure of the table values that all are integer and floats. Okay, all are integer and floats values. Okay, so they will insert automatically. Casting will do, and they will insert in there. Okay. Now, when I will run, so how many data we have? So 13, I have 13, okay? Till 13 I have. So now I'm going to run this program and see that what's the value we have. So let's see, I'm running now. I'm giving interest rate is 11. Okay, 9. Number of year is 10. And loan amount is, let's see, 1,000. Monthly payment is, wait, this one is my program. So I will have, you see, we'll have two things in the when you click the button, so that times we'll have two things. One is that the calculate payment will do. So calculate payment will be calculated and placed in the text boxes. And then again, initialize DB will execute. So initialize DB will place in here. Okay. So two things will happen. First is this one will be executed. So this value will be placed, and then initialize DB will execute. So also that will be right into the DB database as well. Okay, so when you click here, you will see that these things has been calculated. So, and also you can see the database. You can see the database as well as my output as well. You can see the output. And let's go to first database. So 14 number has been there. So let's go to the database. You can say that SAR can print. Okay, no, SAR is not printing. So basically, you will go there, and from there, basically, I have collected. So I'm clicking browse. I'm clicking this one, refresh, and you will see that the 14 number row will be created. So 14 number row will be created. 14 number row will be created. You understand? So that way, basically, so that way basically we have, you see that 14 numbers. That way basically we can create in the databases, right? We can insert into the databases, and we insert it and also select this one from the database, and we then print. So select this one and then we print in here. Select this one and then print in here. So that way basically we can retrieve the database. We can insert into the database. So inserting in the database, like inserting command, and then we call the SQL select command to select all the items from the database and then put it into the result set. So result set, and then result set has been printed, right? So in that way, basically we can work in our database, right? You can also create now with your application that I have given you. So after completing the assignments, please do that task. What happened to Habib? Habib Firdaus, not Habib, sorry. Habib Firdaus. সব কিছু খালি হাবিবের কথা মাথায় আসে কেন? Habib Firdaus, what happened?
Sorry, sir. The mic is suddenly on. Sorry, sir.
Okay. So that way, basically, you can run and you can call your program. Okay, you can execute your program. So now, any questions? Let me know. Do you have any question?